Okay, so we have already discussed about the generalized measurement system. So that generalized measurement system, each elements of the measurement system, that is nothing but transducer, signal conditioner, and a data presenting element, or in other way, primary sensing element, variable conversion element, variable manipulation element, data transfer element, data presentation element. So all these elements can provide some input output configuration of measurement system. So as we know that already last time, 2 3 times I have discussed, if you go for any system, a system is nothing but a group of elements combined together to perform a particular task. So when you are giving some input to any particular system, because of its principle of operation, it produces some output. If you take any element or any system, if you are giving some sort of input, because of its structure, because of its principle of operation, because of its internal construction, it is going to produce some type of output. So that is provided. The output is provided because of its internal characteristics. So that maybe these output may have some relation with the input. That may be constant relation or proportional or some non-linear, or we can call it linear. That is depending upon the uh, construction, depending upon the elements used for that measurement system. The relationship may be linear relationship or non-linear relationship. Okay, so here this block diagram, will explains the generalized input output configuration of measurement systems. So actually the input quantities which are applied to any measurement system or instrument are classified into 3 types. Those are desired input. Generally input can be represented by a symbol small r. Since I am calling it desired input, I am representing that notating by a r suffix d. Interfering input ri, modifying input rm. So the 3 types of input quantities are desired input, modifying input, and interfering input. So already I have discussed. Once I am giving the definitions and what is the output. Okay, the desired inputs are defined as quantities for which instrument is specifically designed to measure and respond. For example, if you take a thermometer, our body temperature is the desired input quantity. Thermometer is designed for what? To measure the body temperature. So the desired input are defined as the quantities for which a measurement system is specifically designed to measure or respond. That is about the RD. So this RD produces an output component which I can call as CD. Generally, we are representing the output quantity as some with a letter C. So it can produce some output component. Listen, observe. That is maybe a CD, which is equal to just simply RD into some GD. What is GD? GD is nothing but it is a transfer function. It is a constant or a transfer function of that particular instrument. Generally, if you are giving any input, we are going to get the output. The output is nothing but it is equal to the some constant or some function into the input. So here, generally the desired inputs are nothing but there are quantities for which the instrument is specifically designed to measure or respond. So this RD produces an output CD. Okay, produce an output component CD in accordance with the input RD, and relationship is symbolized by a constant called GD. So this GD may be called as a transfer function. Generally, a transfer function for linear systems, that is constant. For non-linear system, it may be algebraic function. So I'm not going to discuss linear functions and non-linear functions here. Just I'm giving the idea. If you are giving some input for the desired input, it produce an output which is with some proportional to some input that is constant, some GD here. The similar way, so therefore the GD is nothing but it is a representative or a function from a constant in case of linear, or in case of nonlinear, that is maybe a linear function or algebraic function. So next, what is interfering? What is interfering input? So interfering input represents the quantities to which an instrument is unintentionally sensitive. Actually, the instruments are not designed to measure or to respond for this type of interrupts, but unintentionally, that is unwantedly, because of its internal operation, because of its internal principle of operation, that unintentionally respond for this interfering inputs. So because of this, Ri also produce some output. I am saying that as Ci with some constant relation known as Gi. Okay. Now there are some other class of inputs. Those are called as modifying inputs. These are defined as inputs which cause a change in input-output relationship for either desired input or interfering input or both. Because of this modifying input, the relationship between the desired input output, the relationship between the interfering input and output may change, may modify. That's why they're called as modifying inputs. So now, if you observe, this is a complete instrument here. PPT, sorry. You can say that this is a complete instrument. The instrument or measurement system may be subjected to desired input, interfering input, and modifying inputs, and therefore output is sum of output components due to all these components. Whatever the output is providing due to the components of desired and modifying input and due to the interfering and modifying inputs. Okay, here it is wrong. The modifying output, it is the modifying input actually. Okay, so that is for the total response of any instrument. So actually the instrument is designed to respond for desired input only, desired input, but unintentionally it may respond with some interfering and modifying inputs. Therefore, an instrument is subject to all these input quantities. It may produce some output components which are due to all these parameters. Therefore, we can say that an instrument or measurement system may have several inputs of each of these three types and thus have several outputs. It may have single input or may have two inputs or three inputs. It may produce several outputs. Now we are going to explain about this one just by using a small example. Here, what is that? What is the figure? What is that? What does it indicate? Anyone? It is a, what is that?
YouTube mercury manometer.
YouTube mercury manometer. Just I am checking whether you are listening or not. So already it is available on your screen, but no one is responding. Just try to respond. So then only I can continue. If you are not listening or if you are not following, then I cannot continue. So that's why meanwhile I am in between I am going to ask some questions. Not a question. I'm going to check whether you are alert or not. Okay. So for example, you are consider a case of measurement of differential pressure of a fluid with the help of a YouTube mercury manometer. So this is a YouTube mercury manometer which consisting of two limbs. Limbs is nothing but it is a way. It is a one limb through which one pressure is applied, and this is another limb through which another pressure is applied. So this is having a shape of U. That's what is called as YouTube mercury manometer. Why it is called a mercury? The liquid we are using for a medium, that is a mercury. Okay, so that's what is called a mercury manometer. This is used for measurement of differential pressure. That is nothing but P1 minus P2, or sometimes P2 minus P1. Just simply we are going to measure the differential pressure P1 and minus P2. So the pressure applied at two ends of the U tube are P1 and P2. The differential pressure P equal to P1 minus P2. So just if you observe this one, the pressure applied, the difference is P1 minus P2 equal to G into H into rho M minus rho F. Generally, as the pressure among this limb change, what happens? The pressure is applied. Are you observing my face? నేను కనపడుతున్నా?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
మీకు ప్రాబ్లం ఏం లేదు కదా, అర్థమవుతుంది ఇట్లా చెప్పినా కానీ.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so otherwise just a minute. By mistake it is turned off. Okay, now as the pressure in this limb increases, in this limb the mercury level will be decreasing, and at this end, at this other end, the mercury level will be increasing. So due to this pressure difference P1 minus P2, there exists some difference between the two levels. When there is no pressure difference, that means P1 equal to P2, what happens? If P1 equal to P2,
0, sir.
that
Both
is
will be 0.
both the levels are equal. So therefore, the difference H will be 0.
0.
So as here you can assume that P1 is greater than P2. That's why in this limb the mercury level is decreased, and at this limb the mercury level is increased. So we are getting some amount of difference. That difference I am calling as X, or in some books it is mentioned as H. P1 minus P2 into G into H. What is G? G is the specific gravity of the fluid. Specific gravity. Rho M is the density. Rho M is nothing but density of the mercury liquid. Rho F is nothing but density of the fluid. But here we are using, this is a fluid. What do you mean by fluid?
Liquid or gas?
Liquid or gas. Very good. So
Which can be liquid or gas.
fluid is nothing but liquid or gas. Here assume that we are able to measure pressure applied to a gas. Therefore, generally the density of the gas is very, very, very less compared to density of any liquid. Am I right or not? Gases density is always less compared to gases liquids density. Therefore, we can consider, we can neglect rho F. Therefore, it gives the P equal to P1 minus P2 equal to GH rho M. GH rho M. Okay, GH rho M. Then now we are going to see. Then what is the desired input for this instrument? The desired input for this instrument is differential pressure, that is P1 minus P2. Now we can observe some another two cases. In the second case, we are assuming that in this case, or if you observe the previous case only, this one only, if P1 equal to P2, the differential pressure is 0, and therefore the output, that is scale reading H, should be 0. That's the case. But there are some examples when scale reading is not 0. The scale reading is not 0 even though P1 equal to P2. Generally, P1 equal to P2, the scale reading should be 0. But there are some cases, even though P1 equal to P2, the scale is not equal to 0. That means the differential pressure is 0, height is not equal to 0. This is on account of presence of some interfering input. Because of presence of interfering inputs, even differential pressure is 0, it produces some level difference. So that's why we are going to observe that cases by from this figure. It shows a manometer which is placed in a vehicle. Assume that this manometer is used for measurement of differential pressure, but it is placed in a vehicle. That means it is accelerating. Your vehicle manometers, it is also moving. There is some velocity or acceleration. So even though the pressures at these two ends, P1 and P2 of this manometer are equal, a differential pressure is created. on account of acceleration. Because of acceleration, a differential pressure is produced. Therefore, the scale indicates a reading h. Therefore, the acceleration acts as a interfering input. So now we go for once again a definition. The instrument, if it is unintentionally sensitive, that input is called as interfering input. Or this instrument is not designed for acceleration responding or acceleration measurement, but unintentionally it is responding to the acceleration. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that means if it is placed in a vehicle, as the vehicle is moving, this manometer also will accelerate. So due to this acceleration, even though the pressures are equal, it produces some amount of h due to on account of this acceleration, due to that is called as interfering input. And now if you go for another one also, in this case, if you observe this figure, in this case, the interfering input, in this case, manometer is not properly aligned, not properly placed, is not properly aligned with the gravity vector because of angle of tilt. Just slightly it is having some angle of tilt, but actually it should be to earth it should be perpendicular, but it is having some angle of tilt. Because of this, there is an output h, even though P1 and P2 are equal. Even though the pressures are equal, the output should be 0, but because of this not proper aligning with the gravity vector, it gives some output h. So you can say that this gravity alignment is also an interfering output. Sometimes it is also acting as a modifying input also. So assume that this acceleration and this gravity vector, the both are interfering input, and there is some ambient temperature and gravitational force. These are acting as modifying input. What do you mean by modifying input?
Modifies the response of desired.
Response of the desired or interfering. Am I right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So if you observe the ambient temperature, for example, your mercury manometer is placed in a room where the temperature is normal 25 degrees centigrade. That is room temperature. Then there is no effect on this mercury liquid. Generally, as this desired input P1 minus P2 changing, it changes the level. But if you are placing this mercury manometer in a hot place, for example, in a summer in outside, what is the temperature in outside? Maybe assume that it will be 38 degrees or 40 degrees. Because of the highest increase in temperature, the mercury is having the property of expanding. As the temperature changes, the mercury will expand. Now, what is the actual principle of this manometer? Can anyone tell? Chapter number 10.
Manometer is used to measure pressure.
Use it to measure the only pressure. Actually, as the pressure changes, the mercury level has to change. But because of it's the fluid which we are using, that is the mercury will also respond to the temperature. Am I right or not?
Yes, sir.
In your thermometer, what you are using? Clinical thermometer? Mercury liquid. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
There, what is the principle of mercury? As it is exposed to the change in temperature, the mercury level will change. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So the same way, here also, as the temperature changes, the mercury level also changes. In addition to the pressure difference, ఈ pressure difference తో పాటు ఈ temperature ద్వారా కూడా కొద్దిగా level అనేది change అవుతుంది. So that may modify the response. At the same case, even though the acceleration or even though gravity ఉన్నప్పుడు కూడా ఈ ambient temperature వల్ల ఈ level change అవుతుంది. So that will both desired interfering inputs may be altered by these modifying inputs. Okay, so there is actually another example for this measurement that is called as strain gauge, which is used for measurement of strain. Can anyone tell what is strain? What is strain?
Load cell, sir.
Gatti cheppadamma.
Load cell, sir.
I'm not asking this load cell or strain gauge. What do you mean by strain? Strain and enti. It is a quantity or parameter. What is that strain? Strain
Which
applied and
measures the stress.
no, stress is a quantity, strain is also quantity. Okay, almost the stress and strain are almost similar, but there is small difference. Strain is nothing but change in length per unit length. Change in length per unit length. Change in length per unit. Just for example, if you take a rubber, just a minute. Srivali, rubber band. Okay. There are two types of forces generally. Those are called as elongation force and compressional force. If you take a material, just say this is, what do you call this one? This is a rubber. When you're applying a elongation force, that is in these directions, what happens for this rubber? You can observe some change in length of this one. So now it may be a 2 centimeters length, but when I'm applying some elongation force, it may be changed to some 4 centimeters. Am I right or not? So this change in length per unit length is nothing but strain actually. For example, if you're having some any other material, maybe steel material, if you're applying some stress or force, the change in length will occur. Maybe for it is a 10 centimeter, maybe some mm will be changing. So the mm divided by 10 centimeter is but strain. So generally this strain can be measured by using some strain gauges. Okay. So but the same strain gauges are also exposed, are also changing their resistance due to change in temperature also. So generally strain gauge principle ఏంటంటే, as the strain gauges are exposed to any strain, its resistance will change. So those resistance can be measured by using some Wheatstone bridge. Here we're having some Wheatstone bridge. Here this is the strain gauge. If you're applying an elongation force, you observe this one. F1 F here F, that is called as tensile force, like this. If you apply that one on this particular beam, we are having a strain gauge. So as it is exposed or as it is responding for the strain or elongation force, some strain is changed. So due to the strain, the resistance will change. So that may be measured by using this Wheatstone bridge. So the strain gauges are designed to measure the strain, but the same material which is used for strain gauge will also change the resistance due to change in temperature also. Due to change in their temperature also. Their temperature is nothing but some interfering input. So generally, we do not require this interfering and modifying inputs. In order to get a faithful result, a perfect result by using an instrument, if you are having a YouTube manometer, you want to measure the pressure perfectly or faithfully or in a good manner without any errors, we should avoid these interfering as well as modifying inputs. So how we are going to eliminate, how we are going to nullify, how we are going to reduce the effects of these unwanted inputs. For that we'll discuss about the methods of corrections. Here we can try to learn how to nullify, how to reduce the effects of these unwanted inputs on the instrument. So there are 5 methods. Those methods are, just note down, methods of inherent insensitivity, methods of inherent insensitivity, method of high gain feedback, method of calculated output corrections, method of signal filtering, the method of opposing inputs. So these are the 5 inputs, the 5 methods which are used to nullify the effects. Or what is the meaning of nullifying? What is the meaning of nullifying?
reducing.
the effect should be 0. That means we are going to eliminate the complete effect. Or sometimes it is not possible to nullify. At least we have to reduce the effect. In a case, if there is not possible to completely eliminating, at least we have to try for reducing the effect. So there are 5 methods of this for correction for interfering as well as modifying inputs. Those are method of inherent insensitivity, method of high gain feedback, method of calculate output corrections, method of signal filtering, method of opposing inputs. First, we'll go for the method of inherent insensitivity. So in order to reduce the effect by using this method, the instrument should be designed that should be only sensitive to the desired inputs only. That should be only sensitive to the desired inputs only. Okay. So here in this method, the instruments are so designed that they are sensitive only to the desired inputs and are insensitive to both interfering and modifying inputs. That means, see this diagram, that means the instrument should respond to only desired input. We have to design such that that should be insensitive to this interfering and modifying inputs. That means it is desirable to make GI and or GMI or GMD as nearly equal to 0. So we have to design instrument such that its GI value or this GMI or GMD on and all that should be equal to 0. But this approach is not practicable in many situations. In most of the situations, this approach is not practicable, but it acts as a motivating factor in many cases to use some ingenuity for elimination of these effects. That is called as spurious effects or unwanted effects. For example, if you take, this is a, we are having a strain gauge. Generally, it should be respond for only strain, but it should not be respond for temperature. But even though it is responding, then for this method, what you have to design is at least you have to choose the materials which can be used for construction of strain gauge should not respond for temperature or that exhibit at least low temperature coefficient of resistance. What is the meaning of temperature coefficient of resistance? Any guess? What is the meaning of temperature coefficient of resistance?
Which is
Respect to
constant.
temperature, resistance also changes.
మళ్ళీ చెప్పండి అమ్మా, ఎవరు చెప్పారు ఇప్పుడు? వెరీ గుడ్. మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి చెప్పండి.
With respect to temperature, resistance also changes.
Very good, very good. The change in resistance due to change in temperature, nothing but temperature coefficient of resistance. So after completion of this class, I think we are going for the next resistive sensor. There I will discuss again. Every material in the world, every conducting material, semiconductor material, their resistance will change due to change in temperature. That may be high or low. If there is change in resistance is high with change in temperature, then it is called as high temperature coefficient of resistance. If even though large amount of temperature change, only where we observe a small amount of resistance, then we can call it as low temperature coefficient of resistance. So by using this method, we should design the instrument to be sensitive only for the desired inputs. For example, if you observe the strain gauges, we have to choose the strain gauge material such that it should have low temperature coefficient of resistance while retaining its sensitivities to strain. Strain is same property undale, but temperature matram it should be having very less temperature coefficient of resistance. So that's why by using that also we can reduce the effect of change in temperature. That is called as interfering input. And next one, the method of high gain feedback. So generally, feedback plays an important role in the modern measurement and control system because they can be easily adaptable to perform their assigned tasks automatically. Nowadays, almost our instrumentation depending upon the automation that requires some feedback. So what is the advantage of feedback? If you are able to take the output as some fraction of output and give it back to the input, then we can analyze, we can compare. If there is, we are going to produce any output which is not depending upon your input, then we can modify by changing its gain. Therefore, we have to use the feedback such that which is having high gain. So actually, what is about high gain feedback? This equation all or nothing, not important for this case. Just you require some theoretical concepts. So this high gain feedback, everything you are going to discuss in your signals and system subject or control system subject. Mathematical equation avasram ledu. Just by increasing the gain of the feedback, we can reduce the effect of unwanted inputs, that is interfering inputs. Just that is enough. Okay. The method of calculate output corrections. So this type of method requires to measure or estimate the magnitude of interfering or modifying inputs, and you should know the quantitatively how they affect the output. So actually, what is the next class ever, Amma? 10:30 ever?
Signals and systems, sir.
Okay, just I will go take another 5 minutes. Just wait. Okay, 5 minutes the topic complete chestanu. Okay. So this, by using this method of calculated output corrections, we can also reduce the effect of interfering or modifying inputs. But it requires to measure or you have to estimate what is the magnitude of this interfering input. For example, strain gauge, or maybe you can take the dew tube manometer also. You should know the effect of temperature. That's why you should know the how much amount of temperature is changed. So in terms of degree centigrade, in terms of degree Fahrenheit, that means you have to measure that particular interfering input also. And also you should estimate the effect of temperature on length or density of the mercury. For example, assume that a mercury level maybe for every 10 degrees centigrade of temperature, it may change some 1 centimeter of length. Just if you know the effect of temperature on the mercury liquid, then after knowing your effect, that is, for example, 25 degrees centigrade undi, బయటికి వెళ్దాం టెంపరేచర్ మెజర్ చేశాను 35 degrees centigrade ఉంది. అర్థమైందమ్మా? ఎన్ని డిగ్రీస్ చేంజ్ అయింది అక్కడ? 10 degrees ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. సో 10 degrees centigrade వల్ల ఏమవుతుందని చెప్పాను, యాక్చువల్లీ యు నో ద ఎఫెక్ట్ ఏంటది, ఒక 1 mm మెర్క్యూరీ అనేది చేంజ్ అవుతుంది. సో మనకు వచ్చిన రిజల్ట్ లో ఏదైతే హెచ్ వస్తుందో ఆ హెచ్ నుంచి మైనస్ వీ కెన్ కరెక్ట్ దట్ ఎఫెక్ట్. ఆ -1 mm తీసేస్తాం, ఆ 1 mm మైనస్ మనము కరెక్ట్ చేస్తాం. దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ మెథడ్ ఆఫ్ క్యాల్కులేటెడ్ అవుట్పుట్. జనరల్లీ వాట్ షుడ్ బి దిస్ లెవెల్? This level should be only because of the pressure difference, but because of interfering input, that is temperature also, there is some amount of change in. For example, because of P1 minus P2, actually it is 2 centimeters రావాలి. But because of change in temperature వల్ల 2.2 వచ్చింది యాక్చువల్గా. బట్ యాక్చువల్ దట్ ఈస్ ఎర్రర్. బట్ ఆ ఎర్రర్ ఎప్పుడు తెలుస్తుంది మీకు? ఇఫ్ యూ నో ద, ఇఫ్ యూ ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు మేర్ ద ఇంటర్ఫియరింగ్ ఇన్పుట్ and if you are knowing the effect of the temperature on this level. సో మనకు ఆ విషయం తెలిసింది అనుకోండి, ఏమవుతుంది, ఆ 0.1 0.2ని మనం వచ్చిన రిజల్ట్ నుంచి మైనస్ చేస్తాం, సబ్ట్రాక్ట్ చేస్తాం. సో దట్ మీన్స్ వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు కరెక్ట్ ద ఎఫెక్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఇంటర్ఫియరింగ్ ఇన్పుట్ ఫ్రమ్ ద యాక్చువల్ మెజర్. సో దట్ మీన్స్ this method requires to measure the magnitudes of interfering or modifying inputs, and we should know the quantitatively how they affect the output. What is the meaning of this one? How actually temperature is having effect on the level of the mercury. And for every 10 degrees centigrade or 1 degree centigrade ku oka mm or 0.1 mm anedi change avutundi. Aa effect teliste we can estimate, and whatever the output we are getting calculations, దాంట్లో నుంచి మనం దాన్ని మైనస్ ఆర్ సబ్ట్రాక్ట్ చేయడం వల్ల we are getting the exact result. ఆ విధంగా కూడా మనము we can eliminate the effect of temperature or interfering or what you call as modifying inputs. And there is another method by using some signal filtering. What is the meaning of signal filtering? What do you call a filter? What do you call filter?
Which modifies the noise and errors.
Okay. Generally, filter is nothing but that blocks the passage of unwanted signals. Simply it filters. What is our tea filter? మన ఇంట్లో ఉంటుంది ఏం చేస్తుంది అక్కడ? After making the tea, you are using a filter. Just we required only passage of tea. We are not required. We don't require the solid particles. The tea powder particles are unwanted together. So it blocks the passage of unwanted signal. Is that nothing but filtering? So in this method, filters are make signals. So these filters you can design at the input side or maybe at output side. So depending upon your applications, depending upon the magnitude of interfering inputs, you can go for these filters, whether it is, if it is positioned or placed in the stage, that is called input filtering. If it is placed at the output stage, that is output filtering. So like that, these filters can also try to reduce or nullify the effects of interfering or modifying inputs. And next, maybe last one, the method of opposing inputs. It is also almost similar to the method of calculated output corrections, but it introduces some physical quantity or physical component in the instrument that should provide an opposing effect to the undesired effect or undesired inputs. మనకి ఏవైతే undesired interfering and modifying inputs ఏవైతే వస్తాయో వాటి ఎఫెక్ట్స్ కి ఆపోజిట్ గా ఇంకొక ఎఫెక్ట్ ని ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేయాలి.